Welcome to Hood Champion Boxing Sports. In boxing, find a way to win or you find a way to lose. I'm going to just tell you right now, man, I think Errol Spence shouldn't fight Crawford anytime soon. And I mean that more than ever. I've done a number of videos since Crawford and Spence had fought. But I didn't see the CompuBox stats. But just off of seeing the damage that Errol Spence took, I'm telling you, I was screaming. You can go look at my live. You can see I was shouting at the TV for them to stop the effing fight. Those were my exact words, you know. And the thing is, since the fight, you know, it's like, okay, Errol Spence wants to have the rematch. And that's cool. And going to 154, no problem. He's a fighter, right? And he's a guy who has a lot of pride, and he feels that there are some things that he can do differently. Sounds to me like his team feels that maybe there was some foul play on Crawford's part, you know, behind the head shots, elbows, etc. I'm not sure I buy into that. I've even seen some of these bozos out here talking about Crawford taking the Conti cocktail and coming in there with Herculean power and stamina. And when you put all those things together, they said there was no way in the world Errol Spence could have beat Crawford. But I don't buy into all that. But one thing that we do, because we don't know. One thing we do know, that's a fact, right? Well, I'll say Crawford wasn't intentionally hitting anybody behind the head. But I'll say this, one thing we know is Errol Spence took a lot of damage. And I'm going to tell you this. When it comes to boxing, right? We all love to see these guys get in the ring and fight. We all love to see these guys get in the ring and damage each other, okay? But then when you see somebody get beat down, like what Errol Spence got, right? Like how Deontay Wilder got beat down, right? Those were beat downs, okay? People tend to look down on the darkness of boxing and just how damaging it can be. And as a result, that's where, you know, people come out with things that have been coming out about Crawford and to try to justify why Errol Spence lost the fight. But I'm going to tell you this right now. One way of making the sport safer is for people to protect fighters from themselves. Now, I'm going to tell you right now, I do not think Errol Spence should return to the ring anytime soon after I saw those CompuBox stats. Now, I hadn't seen them. Man, I'm so busy with my damn 4 kids, it's summertime. But I just happened to come across them today, and I was like, whoa. Crawford landed 60% of his power shots? And we know Crawford hits hard. Okay, and that's the worst thing that could happen to a fighter is to get in the ring and get beat down round after round after round and not get knocked out and just take damage over and over and over again. And I'm gonna tell you right now, as far as the chaos that you may see in the ring, when a fighter gets hit and goes down and doesn't get up and they rush to put that oxygen on his face, that chaos that takes place, that's a harsh truth of boxing. But you know what else can be chaotic? Is that that chaos that takes place outside the ring. When you have a fighter who doesn't go down like that, but gets beat down like Spence, and who wants to come back into the ring, and then you have people who are trying to protect him from himself, and he's like, no, I'm going to do it anyway. And this is a case to where I think it's going to get chaotic for Errol Spence. If his people love him and care about him, and Derrick James can set his pride aside and stop making excuses for why he got beat like that, they'll sit there and tell this man to just relax. I don't think anybody will blame Errol Spence or make fun of Errol Spence or have anything harsh to say about Errol Spence if he chooses to hang it up just for his own safety, for his own health. Okay? I don't think anybody would do that. Now, I know when you go to Twitter, that's the most toxic place in the world. So those people don't count. But when I think about brain conditions caused by repeated blows to the head and this whole thing that we've heard about over the years from football to other sports, CTE, chronic traumatic encephalopathy, makes me wonder, right, when they start talking about the punch drunk syndrome and dementia and, you know, these different neurologists who come out and talk about things. And I'm not talking about the bozo who came out there saying a bunch of stuff about Errol Spence. I'm talking about neurologists that just talk about the punch drunk syndrome and getting hit upside the head too many times from different sports, and then going on and talking about slurred speech, memory loss. The only thing I'm not sure about Spence, I don't know about him having shakes or violent mood swings. I know matter of fact, he did say he was very moody. He did say he was very moody in an interview. And I was attributing that to just him being with his previous partner, but now he seems to be with someone where I guess he says he's a lot better. But having the mood swings and depression and other things, when you think about all that, those are all things that apply to Errol Spence. Now, of course, I'm not no damn medical professional. I'm just someone who loves boxing. And, at the end of the day, I don't want to see, because that hits home with me when I see these guys with young kids. Even if they don't have kids, it just pull at my heart to know there's a chance of something adversely going wrong with them health-wise. But to know they have small kids, man, I just would hate to know no one protected them from themselves and they went on to continue fighting or doing whatever it is, and taking additional shots to the head, and then they're no longer here with us, so they can no longer function in a capacity that some people would consider quote-unquote normal. Now, when you look at Muhammad Ali and you look at these other boxers, man, let me tell you something. It comes a point to where we got to maybe take a look at Errol Spence and say, maybe he should just chill out. Because when you just think about this whole thing about slurred speech and you talk about the whole balance thing, people keep talking about, I need to go back and watch it. I didn't watch it, but I saw clips, right? But I didn't sit down and just watch the whole pre-fight workout or the open workout. And they keep talking about Spence getting hit with this mitt and losing his balance. Let me tell you something. I need to go watch it. But then again, I don't have an educated eye, but I saw the clip, but I didn't watch the whole open workout. I need to watch the whole open workout to see if there's anything else that I find out of the norm. But I'm going to tell you this right here, man. As much as we want to be entertained, I think it's better to focus on these guys having a better life after boxing, man. Because I'm telling you right now, you just seeing the Pritchard Cologne situation, man, and these other things that have happened with fighters in the ring, man. It's frustrating for me to know that Errol Spence could be going down that path, and even Deontay Wilder, man, that they could be going down that path. We just saw Navarrete and I can't remember the other cat. We just saw them two guys go in there and damn near kill each other. They could be going down that path. Like it's entertaining, and I get it. And I get it. They can generate millions, billions of dollars for these the secret society and these wayward governing bodies, promoters and managers. But at the end of the day, none of those guys care about these fighters. You know what I'm saying? Because you look at the stories. After a fighter retires, if they're damaged or if they're broke. I mean, Deontay Wilder has been championing this for a while, but who looks after the fighters? You know what I'm saying? The WBC says they have some funds there and they try to help out, ex-fighters, ex-champions, and they try to do things, but I don't think it's enough, in my opinion. You know what I'm saying? So if we want these fighters to be okay after boxing, I think we need to make sure that the posts that are being made on Twitter, on videos being made, should be more around center around the argument of Errol Spence not fighting anymore, Errol Spence not fighting anytime soon, but preferably not anymore. You know what I'm saying? Because these guys like Spence have egos. Okay? They want to get back in the ring. They want to prove that what happened to them was a fluke. It was a fluke. This guy can't beat me. You understand? That's why they want to have the rematch. And they go into the rematch, and it's the same outcome. Shane Mosley, Vernon Forrest. But this is the thing we have to understand. The loser has an ego, but the guy who won the fight, like Terrence Crawford, he has an ego too. And if he gets back in that ring with Errol Spence, just like Errol Spence is going to be looking to vindicate himself, Terrence Crawford is going to be looking to tranquilize him this time. He ain't just going to beat him down and in the 7th round tap his glove like, you good? That's not what he's going to do. He going to put him out of his misery. You heard what Terrence Crawford said. If he dies, he dies. That's how he feels when he's in the ring fighting. Of course, he doesn't want anyone to go home, to not go home to their family, to go home damaged or hurt. But when he's in the ring, he can't afford to let his guard down, because next thing you know, he could end up being put in a position to where now he's the guy on the bad end of the deal, and he doesn't want that. And that's perfectly understandable. But what I'm telling you right now, what's best for these fighters, we can talk about sparring. We can talk about just how much sparring Spence has done leading up to this fight. We talk about the 15 rounds, 20 rounds of hard sparring. Let me tell you something. Is anyone really paying attention to how Spence is feeling after sparring? Let me tell you. I'm going to tell you right now, it wasn't until, I like to pull these stories because what I'm telling you is as real as it gets, right? Because there was a time in my career where I'd be hurt from running marathon, from boxing, from playing basketball, and just from wear and tear on your body. I had sleep apnea for years, maybe 15 years. I never went to get a CPAP machine. Found out I was developing cranial pressure, and my heart was working too hard, became enlarged and thickened, all kind of crap as a result of knowing that I wasn't feeling right, but not wanting to come out and discuss it. Knowing that I had my right orbital, no, I had I got hit with an elbow in a sparring match, right on my eye. This is what's crazy, right? I got hit with an elbow in sparring. And I remember when I hit it with the elbow, I just saw like big bright lights. You know what I'm saying? And the guy realized he hit with the elbow. They stopped the sparring. And I remember I went to the bath. I came out the ring because I was like dazed a little bit. But it was weird. But I was just seeing bright ass lights. And I ended up getting out the ring and took off the headgear, and I went to the bathroom, and I felt like like there was something in my nose. So anyway, I blew my nose, right? Because my nose was, a little bit of blood came out. But when I blew my nose, the air settled underneath the bottom of my eye. Like, you have the bottom of your eyeball, you got the eyelid, the bottom eyelid, the bottom part of your eyelids. That air settled underneath there. And I remember I was like, whoa, it's like a damn cartoon, It's like I blow my nose and it's like this pocket of air that filled up underneath my eye. Anyway, I went to the doctor because I was afraid, and they said it was a fracture. And they explained to me about the sinuses and how the eyes and the nose and everything's connected. But anyway, I was supposed to come back for follow-up for some x-rays and stuff like that. You think I did that? I never did that. So check this out. And I'm tying it into the whole thing with people asking someone how they feel and following up with them, after sparring or after whatever. So with me, it wasn't until I started having issues with my breathing at night and choking in my sleep and not breathing for 20, 25 seconds and waking up out of sleep, choking and having to go get a CPAP machine. What ended up happening is when all that cranial pressure would develop from me not breathing and trying to force the air out, that the air would build up behind that eye and my eyes would protrude out. You ever seen people with those videos who can cause their eyes to bulge out their sockets? That's what was happening to me with both eyes, not at the same time, just different. It just depends. One night the left may come out like that, the right would come out like that. So when I finally went back to the ophthalmologist, they ran x-rays and I had an MRI done, and they saw that fracture. And they were like, hey, did you ever get injured? And I was like, nah. He was like, you said you boxed. You said you look, because I was really in shape. He's like, you're in really good shape. You run, or did you wrestle, or did you ever fall? You drop weights on your face? And I'm like, what the hell is he talking about? And he was like, because you have this fracture that is never healed up. He was like, and it's he was showing me where he was telling me where it was. It's an orbital fracture. That's what I had. And he was like, and I said, oh, I said, I got elbowed in the eye twice actually, from boxing and playing basketball, going up for a rebound. I was going up, the guy was coming down, his elbow hit me in the eye. And the doctor's like, that's why you're having this issue. The air is settling underneath here and it's building up and it's causing your eye to protrude out. So I give you that story because talking about how a person feels, and guys who know, they may tell you one thing, like Errol Spence may say one thing after 15, 20 rounds of sparring over whatever, 4 months, right? 3 months or 2 months, right? But when he goes home, he knows what he's feeling. He knows what things he's seeing, but they may not disclose that. And if they can't catch it on a physical, they can't catch it on the x-ray, MRI, because they're not going to think to x-ray and MRI you unless you know you are complaining or reporting something. So there's a lot of these fighters who end up just being too macho for their own selves, and they end up going back into fights, being damaged, and knowing that they probably shouldn't be in there. And the problem with boxing is these guys going in there after hard sparring or whatever it is that they've gone through, they run the risk of ending up being damaged fighters or fighters with brain damage. Now, Errol Spence going forward, I don't know what's going to happen, but just paying attention to Errol Spence, taking all them damn shots from Crawford, man, them power shots over 60%, that's crazy. But just my thing is, they need to be paying attention to his behavior. You know, are they seeing anything that looks erratic, anything out the norm? This whole thing about punch drunk syndrome, I would hope that they're not going to tell us, but I am 95% sure that Errol Spence has been approached by Espinoza, Al Heyman, I believe his family, everyone. I believe that he may be going back for some more tests, and I think he probably wants to do it too. Just with everything that's come out, if it was me as a parent, now of course they know what kind of tests he's endured and what he goes through. We don't know. Only the fly on the wall knows, right? But if there's some things that maybe some stones that were left unturned, maybe they should turn those over and just go in there and see what's going on. Because let me tell you something, when you talk about punch drunk syndrome and slurring words and a little bit of erratic behavior and depression and mood swings, you know, let me tell you something. That damage is a salutary reminder that almost all great fighters had their senses obliterated by boxing because they didn't know when to quit. And I think with Errol Spence, I think he's taken more than enough damage in that damn Terrence Crawford fight, but if he continues, he could end up being in a situation with that damn punch drunk syndrome, and that being that reminder that he just didn't know when to quit. Because I'm going to tell you right now, don't think that punch drunk syndrome and guys getting the hell beat out of them only affects mediocre boxers. There's nothing mediocre about Errol Spence. But we don't want to see him end up in a situation that he avoided as a result of that car accident, just to come now and not know when to leave boxing and end up in the same outcome which most people expected him to be in, or maybe even something worse as a result of somebody's hands and his ego. That being said, y'all keep cool. Shout out to the veterans. Look, I'm a neutral boxing fan. I talk boxing. I don't favor anyone on race, religion, gender, economic status, political affiliation, and I definitely don't play that race crap. But I'm telling y'all right now, if you're an Errol Spence fan, you should be hitting that man up on his Twitter timeline and everything, telling him to just chill out and maybe think about doing something else. And you know what? If you go out there and you start reading up on all this stuff, it'll make you look at things a little bit differently when you see Errol Spence and what he went through. And if you're watching that damn Deontay Wilder fight against Fury, man, those two fights, and then you come and you watch the guys like the Aaron Pryor's and the Hagler, you know, Ken Norton, Muhammad Ali, you know, all those guys, man. You know, it just gives you a different outlook on things, man. You know what I'm saying? It's so many fighters out there, and I'm not even trying to go through all the names of fighters who suffered from, this whole chaotic boxing world and damage they've taken, man. But I'm gonna tell you right now, it's a perilous sport. How do you make a perilous sport safe? Look, it looks like they're trying every day to improve, but I think for me, one of the quickest methods of making a sport safe for a protected boxer is to just sit there and get them to not box. Very simple. That being said, y'all keep cool. Shout out to the veterans, all 7 continents. I just don't think Errol Spence should be fighting anytime soon, probably ever again, but definitely anytime soon. Because the more I read up about these different things, the more I'm like, damn, boy, Spence kind of fit the bill on some of this. But again, time will tell. But my biggest concern is he took 60% of power shots from Crawford. And that, to get beat like that and to come back in the ring, to face that same guy again, that's just not good, man. Not good. Anyway, y'all keep cool. I'm in the breeze.